double Olympic 800-meter champion Caster Semenya, who says justice has spoken after the European Court of Human Rights ruled in her favor on Tuesday. Semenya won her appeal against the government of Switzerland for not protecting her rights in a suit that dates back to a Swiss Supreme Court ruling in 2020. Semenya was born with differences of sexual development, which is also known as DSD, and is not allowed to compete in any track events without taking testosterone reducing drugs. She has been in a long-running dispute with World Athletics, who require athletes with DSD to have hormone treatment in order to compete in female track events, something Semenya refuses to do. The three-time 800-meter world champion has twice failed in legal appeals to overturn the decision in the Court of Arbitration for Sports, CAS, in 2019 and 3 years ago in Switzerland. The ECHR found the Swiss government failed to defend Semenya's from discrimination when the Supreme Court refused to overturn a ruling by CAS, which upheld the World Athletics rules. For one thing, I certainly believe in sovereignty, and one of the most sovereign areas of life is sports and the way it's administered. No matter where you stand on this issue, typically, I think everyone would say that when an administrative body decides, like the IOC, like World Athletics, decides that or puts down in a codified set of rules that these are the conditions by which you would qualify to be part of our sport, I believe oftentimes that is worth respecting. And in this case, it seems CAS did so. CAS respected World Athletics' ability to make laws that govern its own athletes, its own participation of athletes. However, there's also a sense of fairness. On the one hand, CAS had ruled that the fact that she has this condition, this differences of sexual development, which is a phrase used for conditions in which a person is born with reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the typical definitions of female or male. The word intersex is also used to describe people with differences of sex development. And in this case, CAS took a stand by upholding World Athletics' ruling that she wasn't allowed to participate in any more track and field competitions. The Supreme Court in Switzerland refused to overturn that ruling. But for CAS to be making a ruling like this, it's one thing for CAS to say, if biologically you do not qualify, you do not get to participate. But in this instance, they're not just saying she doesn't qualify biologically, anatomically. She must, in order to qualify, use a drug, a hormone, a testosterone suppressing drug. And that is sports invading the privacy of a human body. If it's about how someone is born, if you're a male, then if every other aspect of your anatomy says you're a male, then surely maybe you should only compete in the male section of sports. But if you are a female, maybe you should only participate in the female section. But here, the CAS and the Switzerland Supreme Court were saying effectively that she's a female, but she has a certain hormone, testosterone, that is produced at a higher rate than the average female. And for her to qualify to compete in track and field, to run any races any further, she must take drugs to reduce the testosterone. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if any of us should agree with that. No matter where you stand, it's a debate that I think sometimes in a situation like this could easily get forgotten, could easily get swept under the rug because it's not as big a deal. It's one in maybe 1,000, 2,000 athletes, maybe even several thousand athletes. She's the go-to name now when you talk about a DSD condition preventing someone from participating in a sport. And in fact, she hasn't taken any non-natural drugs to have the physical dominance that she clearly exhibits over other females. So I don't see where CAS, I don't see where World Athletics gets off trying to make a rule like this. It's certainly inhumane. It denies a person's humanity, and it requires them to assent to that denial by taking drugs to suppress their own nature.